With the end of the Christmas event, we have the introduction of a new quest line, the BTR Driver's Task Line. This turns the BTR Driver into an in-raid task giver, just like Lightkeeper is. But unlike Lightkeeper, the BTR Driver isn't endgame content that you have to be level 50 or whatever to get to. You can begin his task right at level 20 with Mechanic. Now, as of this video, we're not quite sure where the tasks lead to yet. There are some pretty good rumors out there, my favorite of which are that this is what's going to unlock the RPG, or that maybe this gets the BTR Driver on Shoreline. Both of these are pure speculation, so don't take that as anything more than that. But they were the fun ones that I heard about and I wanted to share them. Now, even though the BTR Driver isn't endgame content like Lightkeeper, his tasks can be just as difficult, and in some ways, more difficult. It looks like there's some tasks where you have to use the transit system, as well as haul in a military battery and give it to the tank driver. Sorry, BTR driver. Guys get upset if you say tank around a BTR. Anyways, just like the Lightkeeper, you have to actually talk to the BTR driver in raid to complete tasks with him and get new ones. That means you have to find him. And unlike Lightkeeper, the BTR driver doesn't show up in every raid, and he also isn't in one place. Doesn't matter what it is, the Lightkeeper is always at Lighthouse and he's there every raid. But as of right now, the BTR driver has a spawn rate of 80% on woods and 70% on streets. Now this is high enough that it's pretty rare that it's not going to show up, but it can happen. But he's essentially going to be in most of your raids. But just because he's there doesn't mean you can find him. And this has been my biggest struggle so far with getting through these tasks, is just finding the BTR driver. I'll throw in some tips at the end here to help out, but luck plays a huge role in this, so keep that in mind. You don't have to just talk to him on woods either. If you find the BTR on streets, you can do your tasks, complete them through him as well. But let's get into the whole task line here and explain how to do it. The first task is from Mechanic, and it's called a Helping Hand. This task requires you to get a package for Proper at the new train depot area on Woods. Now you have to use the BTR to get out there. If you haven't seen my guide video about this area, I highly suggest watching that because there's a lot of information there that'll help out here. In that video, I explain how to get out to the train depot safely, as well as how to get out of the depot safely, which is just as important, along with how to loot it if you want that there, but that's kind of a side to all of this. But back to the tasks. Now, since you have to take the BTR to get out there, you're gonna have to talk to him. You can use this as your opportunity to get the first task from his as well. You don't have to complete the Mechanic task to get it. It's there and ready to go. In his drop-down menu, you can ask if he has any work, and there you'll get the task from him before you even complete the Mechanic task, which essentially gives you 3 tasks to complete all at the same time. One is for Mechanic, one is for the BTR driver, and then the one is for Proper. You'll be able to have that once you extract with the package. Now, once you get out to the depot, if you're quick, you can finish everything you need to do there and use the BTR to leave. There's 3 places you need to go at the depot, and the BTR will stay for 2.5 minutes once it gets there. If you hang out, it's not 2.5 minutes, but if you get out as soon as the BTR stops, you have 2.5 minutes to do all 3 of these things, and it's totally doable. But if you want to loot, you don't have to be in a rush because you're not going to have time to loot and do all this before the BTR leaves. Now, the first thing you have to do is you have to get Proper's package. This is inside the office area right where you get out. So far, we know of 2 spawns. The first one is on the desk all the way in the back. It's just sitting right on top there, easy to see. The second one is by the front door under the desk on the right as you walk in. The box is pretty big, so if more spawns do show up, it shouldn't be too hard to find. So if you don't see it in one of those 2 places, just look around. It's going to be somewhere right there. Now, getting this box checks one of the requirements for the BTR task, because you have to go into the office area, scout the office area. The other 2 areas you have to scout are the warehouse, which is right outside. It's just to the south of the office, underneath the kind of covered warehouse, if you want to call it that. There's just a bunch of boxes. You run to there, and that's all you got to do is scout it. The next one is the garage. Run over to the northeast side of the depot. It's the garages. It's the only garages you can go in, and you just run inside and you check it. Again, if you do this quickly, if you just run the loop really quick, you can get all 3 of these done in about 2 minutes and get back on the BTR with enough time to spare to pay for a ride out for your extract. Once you do that and you're back in your stash, you first give the package to Proper. This will complete shipping day part 1, which is a requirement for Mechanic's task. Once that's done, you turn in the Helping Hand with Mechanic. That is the other part for the BTR task. Now, Mechanic's going to give you the Eye, which is it's a radio kind of device for detecting mortar strikes. If you don't remember this is from last year. BSG added mortars to the game, and they happen randomly around the map. And if you have this pager device on you, it will warn you by vibrating and to let you know that a mortar strike is coming. But there's nothing else with that. I think that's just a way for them to get it into the game for now. Nothing about mortars really yet other than the blue flare the BTR driver gives you. So like I said, once you're done there, this gives you the last little bit for the BTR driver task. You should be able to see that shipping delay part 2 is complete for the BTR driver in your task list. Now to complete this though, you have to go to the BTR driver. It's just like Lightkeeper tasks. And he does give you rewards. It gives you items as well. So make sure you bring a little extra cash because you can get those rewards from him and then just send them right back in the BTR if you want for a little bit of money. And that way you don't have to worry about extracting with them. But make sure you have a backpack to do these. It depends on how BSG's done it. For example, Lightkeeper has some different mechanics. If you don't have enough space for the loot he's trying to give you, it won't let you turn the quests in. Sometimes it bugs out and the stuff just disappears. So just make sure you have a backpack that's got space in it when you turn in your task to the BTR driver. Now, when you complete this task, you can get the next one from him, and it's going to be called Hot Wheels. And you should be able to do this right away, but there have been some weird time gate kind of stuff going on. Some people can't get it. Most people, though, if they leave the raid and they come right back and get on the BTR again, they can get the task. I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, but new task line, new systems, new mechanics, they're going to be buggy till BSG can kind of work through them and get them working proper. Now, the Hot Wheels task is pretty simple. Grab a marker, go to reserve. All you got to do is mark a pile of tires in the vehicle maintenance building, which is next to the RBST locked room. Just make sure you mark the correct pile, because if you mark the wrong tires, you'll have to go back and do it again with kind of a failed task line. Though the failure task line could be useful. The original task, if you do it right the first time, gives you, as part of the reward, a military power filter. But the failure task gives you 3 Nixer lenses. So if you're after those for some reason, like your security 3, I believe, you could do that on purpose so you can get those instead of the military power filter. But it's a pretty simple task. Do that, go to woods, turn it in, you're good to go. Now, this is as far as I've gotten. I spent about 3 hours after finishing this just trying to get to the BTR again and get my next quest. But I either died trying to get to it, or I couldn't find him because he didn't spawn, or I couldn't find him on the map. But once I get through more of these, we'll do more task guides and get you guys up to speed on how to do them in the easiest ways and stuff like that. If you do get ahead of me though, the guys at the wiki are doing a great job of updating and keeping the pages correct. So you can check there for more info until we can get another video out. But before we're done, let's get some tips for you guys, just general things in dealing with the BTR that I've dealt with today. First up is cash. Bring lots of cash. I tend to run with like 250, 300,000 rubles in my docs case, so I have plenty of money to travel, pay for covering fire, or send items back to my stash. Some items are expensive, like a LEDX, which you can find those on Woods. That by itself costs like 80 or 90K to send back to your stash, but for me, that's well worth it in my opinion for a found and raid LEDX. Now for covering fire, it's kind of wonky how it works. And this can cost, I think it's about 70,000 rubles. In order to initiate it, you first have to pay to travel to a destination. So there's another 12, 15,000 rubles on top of that. Once you pay for that destination and the BTR driver says we're going to go, then you can buy covering fire. BTR, once you pay for it, the BTR will shoot pretty much anything it sees. But the problem is it doesn't last but a few seconds once you get to your destination. So keep that in mind. If someone is waiting at the depot for you, which is happening, you know, they got out there first and they hear the BTR coming, they're just going to get in cover and wait for you. The covering fire isn't going to do much when you get out. But there is a trick I found that's kind of worked halfway decent. Once I get out to the depot, if I suspect somebody's out there, I don't jump out right away. I hang out for a second. I'll pay for it to go to another destination. Then I pay for covering fire and then I hop out. From the time you pay for the next ride, you have 15 seconds before the BTR drives off. This gives you time to jump out and find cover and get set up for anyone who might be out there. If they decide to poke out and try to shoot at you before the BTR leaves, then it has a chance to blast them then. This isn't foolproof, but it's a way to give you a little better of a fighting chance for people that might be camping the depot. Now, for finding the BTR, this has been the hard part. The BTR used to be pretty easy to get into on Woods because almost no one used it. And it just kind of trucked along its predetermined route each raid, and this route would always stop at Old Sawmill. So what I would do is I would just go there and wait, get in it there, and go to the depot. Now, with tons of people using the BTR, it can be very difficult to find. I've spent entire raids literally trying to chase the thing around the map and catch it, and just haven't had any luck. Where I have had luck though is going up onto Sniper Mountain in the middle of the map and scouting around to see it. If you do happen to see it and it's heading for one stop or another, you can usually predict that. And if you hit an SJ6, you can sprint from Sniper Mountain to that stop before it leaves. It's pretty tight, but you can make it. From Sniper Mountain, I've been able to catch the BTR at Old Sawmill, Scav Bunker, and Emercom Base. And that's just after seeing it heading in those directions, usually from Sawmill or on the back side of the map. Now, with that said, a lot of people seem to have much better luck on streets. Streets is a bit smaller than woods, and it's more contained with how the BTR travels. And from a few vantage points, you can cover almost all of the routes the BTR takes. The one that I've seen people have the most luck with is actually Skybridge or somewhere near there. If you're outside, from up there, you can hear the BTR when it drives down Zmaisky Alley. We'll show it on the map. I'm probably not saying it right. Or Primorsky Avenue, basically the main drag, the main strip down the middle. Even if it's cuts the corner at Lexos, you can still hear it. And then from there, it's a short run to the next stop, though probably not a safe one. Keep that in mind. So if you're having trouble finding on woods, maybe give streets a try. You might have a better luck there. But that's it for now. I'll work on more progression tomorrow. We'll get through what we can there, and we'll do another follow-up video or series of videos explaining the process, the tasks, and throw any tips in there I can have to make the process a little bit easier on you guys. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate having you here. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Helps me out a ton, obviously. But with that, I just wish you good luck in your raids and trying to find the BTR, and we'll see you in Tarkov.